that video, it looked sort of like an ad that you would see in GQ or Vogue. Woke garbage. It went all of that.
A6 e-tron is the most aero-efficient Audi ever made.
Jag.
2 crore base price?
Yeah, man.
For a 911 base?
If Honda has an electric scooter, who is going to buy an Ola electric?
Who farted?
I just... Welcome to the Evo India podcast. We are continuing on our series of the cars and bikes that we've driven and ridden over the past week. I'm Sirish Chandran, editor at Evo India.
I'm Aatish Mishra, assistant editor at Evo India, and we're going to be talking about a lot of cool things, starting with Jaguar's new rebrand. Lots to say over there. I was in Tenerife to drive the new Audi A6 e-tron. Can't tell you too much, but I can give you some details. We'll talk about your long-termer, the Q8 e-tron. You unwrapped a Porsche 911.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the very first ones to arrive in
India. The new
India.
992.2 Gen. So we'll talk about that. You also spent some time in a lot of Rolls Royces. I don't think anybody can say that.
So I got chauffeured in a Cullinan black badge. I got to drive the Spectre. I got to drive the Series 2 Ghost in Provence, south of France. So we'll talk about that. Tough life.
Tough life. We'll bring Lenny into the podcast today because he had the chance to drive the new 4-cylinder C63 and he's going to give you your impressions. And then we've got a C63 rival that was just launched, which we'll talk about as well. And there's a couple of electric stuff that's interesting. You know, Mahindra's BEVs are on the way very soon, close around the corner. And Honda's been teasing a new scooter, which looks very exciting.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And let's start with Jaguar. Sirish, we've all seen the video. We've all seen the rebrand. We've seen the new fonts and the new logo. What's your opinion?
Aatish, I really can't say much. You are more with that woke crowd, politically correct crowd. Maybe you can shed some thought because I couldn't understand anything. That video, it looked sort of like an ad that you would see in GQ or Vogue, not a car magazine ad. Yes. I don't think that really connects with car guys. To me, Jaguar is this... I have an emotional connect with Jaguar. My mom and dad, they met in Muscat while they were working together at the dealership that was selling Land Rover and Jaguar. My dad taught my mom how to drive in the desert in a Series 1 Land Rover.
Lovely.
My mom still has fond memories. Her boss had a Jaguar. I can't remember right now which one, probably an XK. And I still remember her talking about how cool that Jaguar was. Yeah. When the Jaguar XJ was here in India, I did a story where I drove my mom and dad in that. I did a story.
I remember that.
Magazine.
Very nice story, yeah.
So this is personal. My mom still has an old Land Rover keychain, an old Jaguar keychain from their time in Muscat. So my mom and dad met working in a car dealership. So that's how my car connection goes back. And it all goes back to Jaguar. Yeah. And big Jaguar engines. Every time we had a Jaguar on test, and the last time we had an F-Type on test, I took my mom out for a drive in the F-Type because she loves the brand. Yeah. Obviously, she said, why is it making so much noise? Because it F-Type and all of that. But she loved it. She loves Jags. Oh, I don't know what she'll make of this ad. I can't make out head or tail of it. It's woke garbage. I don't know if I can say that, but I think now after the Trump election and all of that, all this woke business has come to an end. But it just doesn't connect on any level. I know they're moving towards full electrics. Yeah. I know they're going to rebrand. I know they don't want to compete with Mercedes and BMW. They want to compete with the likes of Bentley. Yes. That would mean charging twice as much as the Jaguars right now. Yeah. Obviously, right now, Jaguars aren't selling, but they've been very open about the fact that they're going through this whole rebranding exercise. But look at that Growler logo.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's gone? I can't believe that's gone.
And now you have this...
Puma logo.
I don't know what. It's two J's, logo. One upper, one niche J. Yeah. Looks like a cufflink.
Yeah. And then they've got the silhouette of the Puma or the Jaguar.
Yeah, and now they have that, the silhouette, which is in a cage. So it's sense. Like it's been caged.
Yeah. I didn't think of that.
The Jaguar font.
That makes no sense.
There's the G capital and there is no impact, there's no strength. All I can think of is some agencies made a couple of $1 million on it because obviously I've put in a lot of effort. That video is heavily produced. But it's
to
like a
what
random
end?
collection of words.
To what end is it heavily produced? What is it saying? It says nothing,
It says copy nothing.
but it just looks.
I don't know if you're following on Twitter, on X, not even Twitter now. The nothing phones, that handle, in their bio, they put copy Jaguar because Jaguar's handle has copy nothing. So it's like a meme fest.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I'm somebody from half a generation younger than you, and this is supposed to connect with me, but it doesn't. It's lost on me. Okay. To me, Jaguar is about its history. It's about its racing pedigree. It's about being British. It's about sophistication while being sporty. You know, it's not an Aston Martin, but it's not a Ferrari. It's somewhere in the middle. And it has its own unique DNA, you know. It has a tangible DNA, which we all know and love.
Yeah.
And to sort of just discard all of that, you know, not even acknowledge it, to go in this completely new direction. I get that they're doing electrics. I get that they have to take a stand in terms of technology or powertrains or whatever they need to do in terms of their product. But to discard their entire history for what? Into what end? And who are you trying to talk to? Can somebody my age really buy a Bentley priced Jaguar? How many of us can? You know?
Unless your dad's a Russian mafia boss.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the average age of buyer of luxury cars. They're middle-aged men, women.
You know, that is something that we assume.
Yeah.
I was on the Lamborghini Giro drive. The average age was 30.
That's a Lamborghini.
Yeah, but I'm talking about expensive cars, man.
Yeah.
Young guys, I don't know where the money is coming from. Maybe they've sold their IT company, or maybe their dads have sold an IT company. I don't know what, but there are a lot of young guys who are buying really expensive cars. I was on the Rolls Royce drive, and they're talking about their average age being some 35.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
But yeah,
I'm still
talking
not
about
convinced.
Jaguar, but they afterwards, the next day, they put out an image,
Yes.
a teaser image, which
Looked
I
like
think
a
is
rear
of the
section.
rear of the car.
Looked like the rear section of the car.
Yeah, which has got that like a whatever grill at the back.
I didn't
and
understand it, but
the rear glass was completely opaque.
Yeah.
So obviously they have a camera inside.
but it's still a concept, right?
It's a
gonna-
concept.
So it's still going to be a little outlandish, maybe, and then they'll
Yeah.
tone that down for production.
So my take is that when all, like say Mercedes and all of these guys, Bentley, they talked about going full electric by 2030. All that came about at a time when we all thought we were moving towards electric vehicles. And because in the automotive industry, the lead times are so long that it was thought about then, work started then. 3 years, 4 years later, once all these cars start coming into reality, the market has changed.
Yeah.
Everybody's moving back towards ICE. But they already thought about this 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But Jaguar is doing this like right now,
Yeah.
when the whole world is resistant to moving towards that electric future, which is going to come.
Yeah.
But we're all pushing it further and further away.
Yeah.
So, okay, their cars are going to major on style.
Yeah.
Now, we have no second thoughts about Jaguar's abilities to do it, especially because Jerry McGovern, who's been leading Range Rover design, look at every Range Rover.
Yeah,
It
phenomenal.
looks like $2 million, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll be able to craft something that's spectacular. A brand needs to connect with us, and we automotive enthusiasts are the ones who are like their free publicity vehicles, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
We are the ones who amplify that messaging.
Yeah.
Today, everybody's talking about Jaguar. So, in terms of creating noise,
100%.
well, they've got that box ticked.
I have random friends who don't know anything about cars, who don't care about cars, who've DM'd me, sent me random memes or random, comparing the old logo and the new logo and saying, what do you think? And these are people who wouldn't listen to me for 2 minutes about cars. They care about other things in life. But they're clued into this, because this has made so much of a splash.
Yeah.
Maybe for the bad, for the good.
I don't think there's been a viral moment like this in the year.
Yeah.
Nothing has broken the internet, so to speak, like that one ad.
Correct.
Copy nothing. Random collection is like you go through a thesaurus and you put two words together, and man, what?
And the backlash has been real. But you know what? Nobody wants to see Jaguar fail. Yeah. All of
100%.
us love the brand. All of us are invested in it. Today, it's under Indian stewardship. So I think we are also even more personally invested and want to see it succeed. Nobody wants to see it fail. So my hope is that when they unveil this car next month, it blows us away.
Yeah.
And when the production...
And the conversation changes.
Yes. And we can say, okay, the marketing is just noise. The product is solid. You know? And I'll be okay with that. Let them say what they want about the car. Let them position it however they want it. Let them talk whatever rubbish they want to talk. You know, that's fine. But if there's a good car underneath all of that, I don't think too many people will have a problem. So maybe our annoyance is a little...
premature?
Yeah, maybe. Can't say. But again, it depends on product. And we won't see the product actually till next year because we're only going to see a concept now.
Yeah.
And
December 2nd or something like that. Right?
And then the final car comes out in 26 or something, you know. So there's still time.
And there's also time for them to course correct.
Maybe, yeah.
But the fact is that they wanted noise out of this.
They got noise.
They've got noise. Now, whether they wanted this kind of noise, I'm sure they would have been bracing themselves for a strong reaction.
Yeah.
But this kind of reaction, my God.
I don't think they can take back something like that logo, which I think is a bit sad, you know.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe
there's no strength in it.
Yeah.
Jaguar had these cool villains drive Jaguars.
Yeah.
You know, and people wanted to drive Jaguars.
Yeah.
You know, big engines, V8s, you know, ruffians, the edgier crowd. That's a Jaguar. Like Jeremy Clarkson used to say, said, Jag. You know, now what it would be? It would be Jag.
Meow.
Meow. Yeah. But anyway, we haven't seen the car.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't know what the car is going to look like, what it packs in, all of that. So we'll talk about that when. But. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Another electric. I was in the sunny Canary Islands. And
tough life.
Tough life. We missed our flight and had to take 3 flights together. So very tough life. But
you were sitting in the nose of the plane, Aatish.
Actually, we were downgraded to economy because business was full on the flights we were rescheduled on.
No way. And you still went and did the drive.
It's okay.
You still drove
We
a car.
got emergency legroom seats, so we had lots of space. But European business class is a sham because they actually give you economy seats and just leave the center seat empty and call it business class.
Yep.
So actually, I think I had a better deal because I had more legroom in an aisle seat in the back of the plane. I was very happy. So anyway, I digress. But we drove the Audi A6 e-tron. Now, I'm not allowed to tell you my impressions of it just yet because it's all under embargo, very strict global embargo, all of that. But I can tell you what it is from all the public information that was out in the press kit earlier this year. Audi has basically taken a change in direction. They've said that all the even numbered cars are going to be electric. So A4, A6, A8, what we know as traditional combustion engine sedans. Proper Mercedes, BMW rivals are going to be electric cars, and they're going to shift their naming strategy. Like the A4 is now the A5. So the A6 is effectively an A6 sized electric car. So they're going to have a Sportback and Avant. We're probably going to get the Sportback, is my assumption, because nobody sells wagons in India.
Sportback and Avant. Now, is the Sportback a sedan?
So it looks like a sedan, but the Sportback essentially means it has a hatch for a tailwind, like how the Octavias and the Superbs have, So it's like
an
a
S5
Correct,
or an RS5.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the Sportback is...
So it's not a traditional dicky.
It's not a traditional dicky, There's a lot of variants, there's a lot of powertrains. Interesting car. They've got completely new styling on it. Can't tell you what I think today, but you can see the pictures. It follows what the Q6 e-tron had, which is...
See, I haven't signed any embargo. I can talk to... I've seen pictures of the car and I think it looks cool.
Okay.
I think it's a nice looking car. It looks like an Audi, which is a good thing. It's sticking with the brand language, but it's also more modern.
Audi. It's new look.
Yeah, but it's got that big grille and any kid on the street will say it's an Audi.
Yeah.
So, but it's a more modern Audi and I like it. I like the way it's been designed and it's a nice looking car. There's nothing to complain about, unlike say a BMW, where you see every time you see a new BMW, you're like, what the? But this is inoffensive, which I think works.
Fair enough.
So
there's a new interior concept, and again, I can't say too much, signed embargoes and everything, but you've driven a similar interior in the Q6 e-tron.
Yeah,
so why don't you tell us?
Yeah, so with the Q6 e-tron, it's got this nice big curved screen.
Yeah.
All of the functionality now goes on the screen, so it's touch, lots of voice. It's got that augmented reality assist. So on the head-up display, you have these flashing arrows pointing to your directions for the navigation. Only hitch being that in India we all use Google Maps.
Yeah.
And that won't work with Google Maps.
Correct.
And all these inbuilt navs, they just don't work properly in India.
Yeah.
Like the Atal Setu, the Trans-Harbour link in Mumbai, until last month when I drove it, it was still not mapped.
That's
so
crazy.
I don't know what maps
And that's like
using.
a landmark project in India.
Yeah, I don't know what maps they're using, but it wasn't mapped. And I was driving, what was the black car that we have? The S5.
What black car?
The black Audi that came, the S5, yeah.
Huh.
The S5, it was on the S5 and it wasn't mapped out there. So Google Maps, all of those fancy integration of AI won't work. It's got AI assist, so you can ask it 100 things like, turn up my air conditioning, turn down my seat coolers, all of that, open sunroof. I don't know how many people actually end up using it. But Audi have always been logical in the way the tiles are arranged, in terms of the ergonomics, in terms of where everything is. Also the fit finish.
Yeah. And just to be clear, he's talking about the Q6 e-tron. Huh?
Yeah, I'm not breaking any embargo. I'm talking about the Q6 e-tron, which is going to come to India.
Yes.
It'll come to India before the
Probably
A6.
before the A6.
Yeah. So I think early next year.
Okay.
Actually, very soon.
Yeah.
It'll be very soon that the Q6 e-tron comes to India.
In fact, they previewed the car. There was an event in Bombay where they had the car on display. It was a
during
left-hand
the
drive.
Q8, yeah. So during the Q8
Correct,
launch,
Q8 launch,
the combustion Q8 launch, they also had the Q6 e-tron.
Yeah.
Which to me, the Q6 e-tron will be kind of like a make or break car for Audi in India, because they really need some products that will get them some volume.
But will electrics get them volume?
The way I see it is that Audi should position this as a very nice SUV. Incidentally, it also happens to be electric.
Yeah.
Rather than positioning this as an electric SUV, which people don't want electric so much.
Yeah.
But the Q6, it does everything really well.
And to be fair, the electrics do drive very well. They're probably the best in
Balance.
terms of,
So they do ride well, they do handling well. It doesn't have that heavy feel.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I drove the EQE for a couple of months and that felt all its bulk. You go over like a wavy road and you'd feel that it weighs like 3 tons.
And right now you have the Q8 e-tron.
Right now I'm using the Q8 e-tron, which I'll talk about in a bit. But this Q6 e-tron, it rides well, it's quick. It has a little bit of playfulness also because they're sending more torque to the rear axle. So it's not dead. It's not like neutral. It's a little bit more playful. The interiors are nice. It's got a decent amount of space inside. It looks nice. So I think Audi really needs to price this well.
Pricing will be key.
Yeah. So if they price this well at maybe like a 10 lakhs more than a current Q5. And it is possible because look at where the prices have gone.
Yeah.
So Q5 is not a
it's not a
not a cheap or not even an affordable like Q5 what it used to be.
Yeah.
No. So like maybe 5-8 lakhs more than a Q5, and then this is significantly superior to a Q5.
Yeah. And then registration is cheaper. All of that is
so
cheaper.
Your on-road pricing will probably just be like 5-8 lakhs more.
Yeah.
That could be a game changer. Plus the Q6 e-tron has range on its side. And if they bring the performance version, which counterintuitively, the performance is the least powerful, but with the longest range. And only rear-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. But again, that not being Quattro will not work so well in India because Audi's whole history, everything, all the communication, India, land of Quattro.
Yeah.
Now it's so hardwired into our heads that Quattro,
now you got a rear-wheel
Quattro.
drive Audi.
Yeah, so you can't bring a non-Quattro Audi at the start at least. A year later, yes.
Yeah, but then the Quattro variants are more expensive. 2 motors, more power, less range.
But now with Quattro being so integral to Audi and marketing being so important, you cannot not bring a Quattro version. So they'll have to bring the Quattro, and a year later or maybe even 6 months later, knock off 10-15 lakhs of the price, because initially everything sells in this country.
Yeah.
It's longevity that's a problem.
Yeah.
So after 6 months, bring the performance, drop down prices by 15 lakhs, and then you got a model that will really sell. So anyway, what are we talking about? The A6
We're supposed
e-tron.
to talk about the A6 e-tron, but we can't say too much, so we've digressed.
Yeah.
But the A6 e-tron embargo lifts on the 3rd of December. So the podcast after that, we should be able to address everything around the A6 e-tron, what it's like, when it's coming. all of those questions.
And we have a lot of experience with Audi's electric cars.
Yeah.
We had the e-tron with us on test. Now we have the Q8 e-tron. That's my daily driver.
Yeah.
Now, what do I think about it? I think it's lovely. It does everything that I want of an SUV. It's easy to drive.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
It has good performance.
Yeah.
It's not got neck snapping acceleration.
It's
but
more a linear...
which is a good thing because you don't make your passengers sick by driving like an idiot. But you have so much of that mid-range grunt, like from 30 kmph to whatever you want to do. It's you just breathe on the throttle and you've overtaken everything. You've gone past any danger, any idiot doing something on the road. On the expressway is just so easy to drive, so effortless. And now with the bigger battery on the Q8 e-tron, you also get good range.
Yeah.
Earlier on the earlier e-tron, I used to do Bombay, Pune, Mumbai and back to Pune. But on the way back to Pune, it was always, now don't use all of the power on tap. Be sensible and you would get to office with like 5 kilometers of range left. Now you can do Pune, Bombay, little bit of driving around in Bombay, back to Pune.
Comfortably. Even I took it the other weekend, to go to the airport and back. It's very comfortable. You're not stressed. You're not stressed about range. And you're very comfortable on the inside,
So this is 160 kilometers one way, so 320 kilometers. Plus we've got the gradient. We got the mountains that when we come back to Pune, you're climbing up the mountains.
And
obviously,
when you're
going down, you are
charging.
regenerating. That's there. I think Audi's interiors are nice. Though this Q8 e-tron, the interiors are now a little dated.
Yeah, and I've never been a fan of that twin screen with the down screen.
But it's okay. Not so much to complain about. Our car has got the optional seat massagers, which actually work really well.
Yeah.
It's got good space inside. Very good ride comfort.
Yes.
Doesn't feel very heavy. It doesn't have
also
that
the brakes,
extreme floating.
Like a lot of the EVs, even the luxury guys, can't get the brakes very right.
The modulation of the brakes.
And just the feel, because it sometimes feels artificial. It sometimes feels a little like you don't know what's going on. Audi's got it right. You get good feel. You get good sense of what's happening, and you're confident on the brakes of the car.
And most importantly, it feels expensive. That's the important thing, because when you're spending 1.3 crores on an electric SUV, on an SUV, you want that SUV or the car to feel expensive. And it feels expensive, which is a good thing. Only drawback, it still doesn't have wireless CarPlay. So I still have to carry around a cable to connect the phone. And like I said, you can't use the inbuilt navigation because it just doesn't work in India. It's not a Audi problem. It's everything. It's Mercedes. It's everything.
It's all the native maps.
The native maps is just a waste of money. You just bake in Google Maps in everything because and that's updated frequently.
Volvo does that well.
Yeah, Volvo does that well. That's right. So that's the only real drawback that I can think of. Also, the batteries aren't very efficient.
In what way?
In terms of the efficiency, you get like 3 kilometers per kilowatt hour.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big, heavy SUV, So
but everybody else does more efficient batteries.
Which I'll interrupt you there. The A6 e-tron is the most aero-efficient Audi ever made. 0.21
there you go.
Coefficient of drag. And their focus has been how to make it efficient so that you get your range.
Also, the Q8 e-tron is not a pure ICE.
It's the last generation of cars.
It's not a pure EV.
Yeah.
It's not got a Born Electric platform, for instance. It's a ICE converted to EV.
You think about it, it's actually Audi's first electric car. It was the e-tron facelift. So it's the first EV they did, and it's just in a refresh package. So it'll be a little rough around the edges in terms of all of this efficiency stuff and all. And they're figuring that out as they go along. Now the PPE is Gen 2, your Q6 e-tron, the A6 e-tron, and I'm sure that it'll take a step up.
Yeah. So I think the A6 e-tron is interesting, and I think Audi should just double down on their EVs because they don't have ICE vehicles. The A6 ICE replacement will be called A7, like you were saying.
Probably,
But again, probably, right? We don't know. There's nothing on the horizon, and the A6 is like really long in the tooth. It's been around for like really long.
Yeah, and it's become front-wheel drive, 4-cylinder.
Yeah, so for Audi India, just double down on electrics. Yes, there is a lot of push back against electrics, but we have to figure out ways in which to deal with that. What's the main thing holding people back from EVs? The cost of the car after 3 years, the resale value.
Yeah.
So
Audi
if
will
they
need
can
to-
hold that,
Yeah. They'll
you
need to
know,
just
and if
do
they
some
can-
guarantees
yeah,
like
a
how Mercedes is
guaranteed
doing.
buyback,
Yeah.
then you sorted, right?
Yeah. And you upgrade to the next one.
Yeah, that's what. So there are ways of dealing with it, and there are a
Yeah.
lot of smart people in marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, Jaguar. But yeah, so that's on the electrics.
Yes.
Do we stick with electrics?
Talk about the Porsche 911.
Okay, the 911.
Yeah.
So I did a doing a Sirish
Yeah.
on the very first 911, the new generation, the 992.2 that's come down to India.
Was it a Carrera or a GTS?
Okay, so this is not the GTS. The GTS is the hybrid.
Yes.
That's going to come, I think, towards the end of the year. Those deliveries haven't started. The first batch of the Carrera has arrived. So this is the 3 liter,
Yes.
not
The turbocharged 3 liter.
the turbocharged 3 liter, not the hybrid,
Yeah.
which is the big change on the
Yes.
992.2. So on this, the major change is that your analog dials are gone. You have a digital cluster.
Yeah, push button start.
You have the push button start, but it's still chug 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 starts.
Okay.
Unlike in the hybrid because it's got the ISG,
Yeah, it doesn't-
so
this
it's
has
got
a
that
proper
instant catch.
Yeah.
But here it's got the chug 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 and then it starts. But yeah, there's no inserting
turn.
key.
You know, I've
anymore.
been seeing some mods online where you can actually pull that out and do some jugaad and get a twist knob in there.
I'm sure you'll be able to.
Or
But-
maybe that was on the old switches and you can put your key in or something like that. I forget.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
see, that's the pace of progress. Everybody's resistant to change, but
Yeah.
eventually everybody gets with the program.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, on the analog dialed 911s, you can't see all the dials properly.
Yeah,
It's
true, your
not
steering wheel
ergonomic.
does come
Your steering wheel,
Yeah.
it always cuts into, even on my 911,
Yeah.
it's not ergonomically designed.
You
Yeah.
have to go do a little bit of a shimmy
Whereas
to...
in this, obviously
Yeah.
the ergonomics are better and
Yeah.
it's okay. Obviously the initial thing is that you don't have a nice analog tack. That's not there. But again, you move on with times. It's got a mild styling update, especially around the tail lamps. You have got that full edge-to-edge
Yeah.
tail lamps. It does look cool.
No, what I'm interested in is 2 crore base price
Yeah, man.
for a 911 base, not even a Carrera S, nothing. It's
And
just a...
You can't buy a base 911. So the car that we unwrapped,
Yeah.
that had 25 lakhs worth of options.
So that's
Yeah.
2.25 lakhs base. I mean, ex-showroom.
It's base.
Yeah.
It's base. So prices are going nuts.
Yeah, so all of you have dreams of buying 911s, just sit tight because it's not getting any cheaper.
But 911s, they hold their value also
Yeah,
so
that's the
well.
problem.
It's just because they keep
Yeah.
they don't flood the market with 911s.
Yeah.
You spec your 911 and you wait for it.
Yeah.
The 911 now, this one, even the base Carrera, you can option it with that aero kit,
Which is a
a nice big wing.
Yeah.
So one of the cars that is ready for delivery, white car, it had that aero kit. That wing looks really cool.
I'm not a fan. I think it's on a GT3 cool, but if you're doing
Yeah,
a
no.
Carrera with a wing...
I think it
Yeah.
looks cool. Okay, to each their own.
yeah,
Right?
fair enough.
And you do what you're buying the car. You're putting your money
Yeah,
on
true.
it. No, you do
Absolutely.
what floats your
My
boat.
opinion is pointless at
Yeah.
this.
But yeah, prices. I have no counter to that.
It's-
I don't know what to say.
and the GTS is as expensive as the last GT3.
Yeah,
So,
like I really don't know what to say about prices.
Yeah.
But it's selling. Yeah.
yeah. It'll
Electrics are not selling.
sell. Yeah, but
Yeah.
2 crore base 911s are
Yeah,
selling.
it's selling, yeah. So I guess they can do it until it becomes, and we're going to talk about that right now. Should we dive into that?
Talking about the other 2 crore rupee car that's been
Yep.
launched in India.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so C63, 4-cylinder C63, lot of hybrid tech. Actually, I'm going to jump out of the seat right now and
Okay.
we're going to bring Lenny in because Lenny actually was at the first drive at the BIC. So let him take you through the spec on the car and what it's all about
Okay.
and what it's like to drive.
Okay, Lenny, welcome to the Evo India podcast.
Thank
you drove the C63 AMG at the BIC. I haven't driven it, neither has Aatish. So that's why you are here to talk us through what the car's like to drive.
Okay, so the C63 SE Performance 4MATIC Plus and some more stuff. So the car there's a lot of new stuff in the car. Now this is the first time there's a 4-cylinder C63. It's the first time there's a 4MATIC system. There's rear wheel steering. There's so much tech. Like you have an engineering degree, but for us common people, it really takes a lot to understand what's going on with the car. Now, the car itself as a product is very impressive in terms of tech. And it is fast. There are quite a few things I like about the car. It is very, very fast. Like I have driven around BIC. I drove at the AMG Experience. I drove the SL63, the EQE53 and a A45 on track quickly. This is proper fast. Faster than them. It feels fast. To the point where at the end of the straight, when you brake, you are not sure whether you braked too late. Brakes are good, but at the end of like 3 laps, brakes were smoking because it just arrives at a corner so quickly. So there are many things that I like about this car. I don't quite understand the amount of hate it gets, but at the same time, it's no V8. They've tried very hard.
V8 in terms of what?
So the engine, it sounds very much like a A45, but the A45 has the DCT. So when you shift, you get that brap. This doesn't have that.
Okay.
It shifts smoothly.
Okay.
So you're losing a little bit of that brap. Engine sounds a little more refined than the A45. So they've added speakers on the outside and the inside.
On the outside also?
Outside also.
Okay.
To add a bit of bass.
Okay.
So now this doesn't seem to like, it adds volume, but it doesn't add much character. Now the C63 for me, like when I was growing up, the C63 was a muscle car by Mercedes.
A German
muscle car. Now I was in the Gulf at the time and they loved these sort of big sedans, engine in the front, rear wheel drive, doing skids everywhere. You must have seen those Saudi drifts and all those sort of things. So this thing arrived and everyone bought one. And the special thing was when you're driving slowly, and boop, 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 it had that
the gurgle of the V8, no?
Yeah, you would never mistake it for a regular C200. There's a big culture of people putting body kits on C200s and pretending they're 63, but you would never mistake one for a 63 because that noise was missing. This falls short only there. That feel you can't replicate with the 4-cylinder, do what you want. This 4-cylinder is the most powerful 4-cylinder in any production car ever. 470 bhp. Engine is a 2-liter. Turbo is like this big. It's very powerful, 500 something Nm of torque just from the engine. Then the electric motor at the back, that has 201 bhp on its own. Total is 1020 Newton meters. It's a lot. And it is fast. But that feel, that you can't
This is
replicate.
the plug-in hybrid. Did you all keep charging the bat? Did it run out of juice?
No, it doesn't. It charges very, very fast. They told me it can charge the battery through the drivetrain itself, through the engine. It can charge up to 90 kilowatt through the engine itself. That plug-in system is sort of to maintain charge. If you're if you're leaving the car somewhere and you're going out for some time and you want to maintain that battery charge, it works there. But you don't really need to plug it in every night when you go home. And
So it's not like you have to keep it juiced and only then will you get all that performance on a track.
You will need to keep it juiced, but the car does that for you.
Yeah.
You don't need to depend on the plug for that.
So the only thing that's lacking is, how do I put this? It's perception, right? Okay, that noise, that gurgle at that low speed. I remember when the naturally aspirated V8 went to turbocharged from that 6.2 liter V8 went down to 4 liter. We downsizing but even that 4 liter V8, the twin turbo, it had a nice bass and it had that strength, that muscle car feel. It had all of that. To me, this is downsizing taken too far. Okay, from a 8 you go down to a 6, then you go down to a 4. You ease it in gently. You don't hack that engine into half and just have a 4-cylinder.
And apparently that's exactly what it is. It's half that engine because it's the same series of engines. That was a 4, this is a 2 liter. So it's exactly half that engine, which I agree, it's too much, too soon.
And this is all emotions. I haven't driven it. So I'm just talking as an armchair enthusiast. And that's it. That's pure. You've driven it. It's fast. In fact, we also took it to the launch control. Anand took it to the launch control, the drag races, and he smoked the whatever C63s were there, all the M3s that were there, the M5s also. That C63 smoked all of them.
It chased 911s on track.
Yeah, it chased 911s on track.
It's fast.
Yeah, so it is fast in terms of pure performance. And you got to see also that in Formula 1 also, they use 1.6 liter engines. So it's not like they are using some big engines either. everybody's using electrification. In fact, the way this harvests energy is similar to what the MG UK is in a Formula One engine. So this has that race to road technology transfer. All that is there. But, sports cars are not needs, they are wants. They are all about emotion.
A sports saloon in particular, I feel, should feel special on a daily basis. In the sense that a sedan you're going to use every day, it should feel special when you're just driving around. The old C63s did that very well. Like they would feel special even if you're doing 20 or you're doing 200. This will, I feel, because I didn't drive it on the road, Anand did, but I'm almost certain that this will feel very much like a C-Class when you're driving it slowly. And
a much stiffer C-Class.
A much stiffer C-Class with a lot going on, but still a C-Class. It won't feel like a 63. And if that's the case, then like I thought about it a while, but if you want something that will only feel great on the track, you could save a bunch of money and get like a sports car, like get a Cayman and get a Camry, for the city duty. You'll have the best of both worlds. But this thing is excellent as a product. But yeah, that C63, I think it's time to, buy one, store it away.
Somebody was telling me that the prices of old C63s have shot up because this price, 1.95 crores, I couldn't believe it. This is, 1020 Newton meters of torque. No, enormous figures. The figures all justify the price. But 4-cylinder at 2 crore rupees. I was like, where are prices going?
And base. Base. Options will be more.
And yesterday, while we were figuring out what we're going to talk about on this podcast, BMW dropped prices of the M5. Now, in an ideal world, we should be howling at the M5 for becoming as heavy as a 4x4. So like as heavy as a truck now. It's enormous. 2.5 tons. Slightly more than 2.5 tons. But nobody's going to talk about that. Because the price is 4 lakh rupees more than a C63.
Right.
And this is not an M3. We're talking about the M5, which retains the 4.4 litre twin turbo V8. And to that, it adds the electrified, the hybrid system. So now look at that price and the C63 price.
But one thing, the C63 is actually just a hair faster to 100. That is 3.4, the C63 is 3.4 to 100, M5 claimed is 3.5.
Okay.
M5 has 1000 Nm of torque, this has 1021 of 4-cylinder. It is very impressive. That's what, if you're a nerdy sort of guy, you love this Formula 1 tech, then it makes a lot of sense. But the M5 is a car bigger, it's much, I don't know.
And it still has a V8.
It has a V8.
Yeah, so... True. At low speed also, it will still have that gurgle and all that musty of a V8.
True.
Yeah, and you want that, right? These cars need to feel special from the minute you started. When you're stuck in traffic also, it needs to feel special.
True.
So, and how do I put this? An M5 and a C63 can't be at the same price.
Exactly.
Either BMW is being super aggressive with their prices, or Mercedes are being super optimistic with their prices. Or maybe it is one of like half and half from both sides. But the C63 at this price as an M5, how is it going to sell?
I'm wondering the same thing, and maybe they are as well, because they said at the launch, you were there, they said that they are taking bookings now. Deliveries begin only in March. So they'll probably see how many bookings they get and then bring in cars rather than just bringing in cars.
So they're not like they're sitting on stock and they have like 100 cars that now they're pulling the head out and saying, oh shucks, now how do we sell this?
So discounts and all that won't happen.
It's not going to be discounted. But so there's no E63 AMG either. Even globally, that still has to come. So this is their top of the line, or at least one of their top of the lines. The GT63, I don't know if it's still on sale right now, but the number of 63s are reducing. So this is like their hero car, the AMG hero car, apart from the G63, obviously. So, slight problem.
Have you heard about the fact that they may bring the V8 back for the next generation C?
So, I've heard a lot of rumors. I think they should bring it back. I think they have to bring it back because the C63, even globally, is not selling well. They have to get people into the cars to experience it, and only then they talk like how you are in a positive light. But armchair enthusiasts aren't talking positively. And again, a lot of people who buy these cars want their peers to say, dude, what a car. Not, dude, what a car.
True.
So again, you don't want that kind of sentiment from the community that you are hanging with. And this is the problem with the 4-cylinder.
Right.
Plus, their old V8 was excellent.
Yeah.
And this comes back to the fact that all this was planned 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when the world was all moving towards electrics and everybody was gung-ho about electrics and Tesla's stock price was at an all-time high. Today, no longer. Today, people saying, hang on, let me enjoy my ICE for as long as I can stretch it. And that's a shift in the consumer pattern. And when you plan 4 years in advance, now there's no way you can stop it, right? It has to come.
As you were saying, the community, it is very important. Like when you're spending that much money, you want other people also to, respect what you brought.
Respect.
And I have no money in it, but even I feel bad when on the comments it says 4-cylinder for 2 crores. And I feel bad. Imagine someone who's actually paid money for that. So I do think they should bring the V8 back. I think if they bring it back and they don't, this particular car is, I think, too focused on the track, too focused on the M4, M3 and, taking the fight to them, and it does. But if they just want to dial it back a bit, make it more a road car, a fun car for the road, for family use, but like for the driver who's just a hooligan, just likes to just chill, burn tires, have some fun. For one, even if it's the last time they do it, but just one last time.
Yeah, and this brings me to the point where now BMW's M range, at least in India, is slightly better suited than Mercedes' range. So at the top you have the M5. Mercedes does not have an E63. M5 same price as the C63. Okay, so they've got a winner there. At the bottom they have the M340i. And Mercedes doesn't have a counter to that. They had the 35s, that's no longer there. They have the A45, but the A45 is nowhere as usable as an M340i. A45 is faster. With that drift mode, it does some insane stuff, but it is very low, and as a daily, it's not really a car that you can drive every day. Whereas the M340i, it looks under the radar. Obviously, you can pimp it up to make it look different from a regular 3 Series, but it drives so well. It's, for the price, such a sweet package. And that entry point into the kind of M world, not the full fat M world, but the baby M world, is brilliant. That M340i is such a sweet car. And that's a car that Mercedes are lacking in their range.
They have the C43, but it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't compare.
1.1, I believe.
And the new C43, the GLC 43, they aren't assembled in India anymore because of all the hybrid tech that is there on it. So the price has significantly jumped up. The GLC 43 also. Again, 2-liter engine. It moves really well, but the price has significantly jumped up.
Right.
So as an entry point into the performance car world, the M340i, what a sweet car.
It's an amazing deal for what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know what legacy this C63, this generation will leave. If they go back to the V8, this is in a no man's land. It'll be like those Mustangs which were there during the fuel crisis. Mustang 2s. It'll be like that. No one wants them anymore. But for what it is, if you judge it solely for what it is, forget about the past, forget about the future. For what it is, I still think it's a very, very impressive car. There's a lot of stuff that has gone into it. And you have to take your hat off to engineers who have managed to make it work seamlessly. Because you don't really feel like a lot is happening. But when they explain stuff to you, you're like, how is this happening? How is this? Like it sends power from the rear motor to the front axle via the same drive shaft somehow. I still couldn't figure out how that works. But yeah, legacy, and as you were talking about Jaguar and stuff, that is very important. And I'm not sure where this stands there.
All right. Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you.
We'll get Aatish back in and then continue with the podcast.
All right.
Okay, Aatish, you're back on the podcast.
Back on the hot seat.
Back in the hot seat.
Yeah.
While we were talking to Lenny, you just got a call from Porsche.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Okay, so Icons of Porsche is happening this weekend actually. So while the
podcast goes live, you'll
out,
be in Dubai at Icons of Porsche.
Yes. Icons of Porsche is essentially this big Porsche festival. So there's a lot of cool Porsches, there's a lot of old cars, there's brand ambassadors, there's spokespeople, there's just cool Porsche shit happening, you know. And this year they're celebrating 50 years of turbo. So a lot of stuff is happening. But the call was that, okay, we know you're going. Two Middle East journalists have backed out from their slots to drive old museum turbos. Would you like to drive one? I mean, I don't know why that is a question, but it was a question, and I said yes. So fingers crossed, by the end of the following week, I would have driven a 930 turbo, I would have driven a 964. I don't know what else, but I'm still shaking a little bit because of the call. I mean, it was... Whew.
So on next week's podcast, all going well, if the insurance is all sorted out, Aatish is going to be talking about driving a 964 and a 930.
Pinch me, man. Pinch me.
Too good. Tough life.
Very tough life. Yeah.
And speaking about tough life, earlier this week, I was in the south of France on invitation from Rolls-Royce to drive the Series 2 Ghost.
Correct. Now, I was seeing your stories. You didn't just drive a Series 2 because you were in all sorts of Rolls-Royces.
So they had 40 Rolls-Royces at the event.
I can't even imagine what that would look
Rolls-Royces. At the airport in Nice, to pick me up, just me, there was a black badge Cullinan. The Series 2 black badge Cullinan.
Wow.
I was chauffeured to a chateau in Provence. A beautiful place. A lot of art which really just goes above my head. But it had a Michelin-starred restaurant, and Rolls-Royce were very particular that we are on time for our lunches and dinners because of like a 4-5 course meal prepped by Michelin-starred chefs, which was very, very tasty.
Insert tough life comment here.
And we got to drive. Really got to drive. So on the first day, in the morning, I went and drove the Spectre. The evening that I landed also, I drove the Spectre. The electric Rolls-Royce. The first task at hand was to get used to how big that car is.
The Spectre?
The Spectre, it's wide. It's like properly wide. And those roads leading up to our chateau, it was narrow.
I can imagine.
Right? So every time a car came, I just pulled off to the side and hoped that guy would do his part. Right? Because this car's huge.
Yeah. And you're on left and right, so already you're
thoda nervous. And you're driving a Rolls-Royce. Bloody hell, you don't get to drive Rolls-Royces every year.
Absolutely.
So you have to be on your best behavior. So massive thing. The thing with electric Rolls-Royces is that I don't have a problem with it.
Because it makes sense, right?
Yeah, a Rolls-Royce is supposed to be pin drop silence. It's supposed to be effortless. And an electric motor, it feeds exactly into that.
Correct.
In fact, the cabin is just so quiet. It's unbelievable. It's we talk about electric cars being quiet, but you don't know what quiet is until you've been in the cabin of a Spectre. You're doing 80, 90 kilometers an hour.
It's like a hush, huh?
And there is no noise. So from now on, in electric cars, when I say, it's so silent,
there'll be a star on top of it.
The Spectre is next level silence.
And
then Rolls-Royce, the way they put their cars together. So yesterday you were asking me that, is the Rolls-Royce all that it is made out to be?
Yeah, my question was, okay, you were chauffeur driven in a Cullinan, but is it like that many levels above like a GLS Maybach to be able to command that many levels of more money?
And the honest answer is that yes. It's not like it's got 50 times more space. That would mean you're sitting in a tempo traveler, right? But the way it's put together, you can't call it interiors. It's like furnishings. It's like a library. It's the woods, the way everything is specced. Obviously, every Rolls-Royce is personalized. There's no, you go to the dealer and say, "Acha, jaldi kya milega?" You spec your car, you go through that entire process. Everybody has a story about, some guy brings his girlfriend's nail polish and says, match the color to this. And I think it's all apocryphal, but anyway, you can do whatever you want. The woods, they showed us like the slabs of that interior trim, which was hand painted. It started off with blue from the left with the dials, and then it merged into waves crashing and ending in this light wood finish which looked like the sands of the sea. It was a piece of art. It was all hand painted. I didn't get a straight answer to how much anything costs because everything was optional. Everything asked, okay, how much is this? it depends on how many hours and it depends on the whole process and everything was. So I didn't get a straight answer to anything about how much anything costs. Apart from the fact that 8.5 crores for the Series 2 Ghost and 10 something for the Black Badge Series 2 Ghost.
Wow. So Phantom's above that.
Oh yeah. Phantom is
Stratosphere.
next level. Even Cullinan for that matter.
Yeah.
So now the Cullinan in terms of luxury, the way it rides, it breathes over the road. Waft. Rolls-Royce loves to use this word wafting along. And it just wafts along in that royal style. Just like breathes over the road. You don't feel the thudums and all of that. The body moves gently. It's a epic feeling from the back.
I can't even
Plus
imagine.
it's got that starlight roofliner.
Yeah. With shooting
And then,
stars.
yeah, once in a while you have the shooting star going across.
That's nuts. Huh?
And it's all random, so it's not like you keep your eye on this side and you'll have another one there. There'll be one that goes across on the corner of your eye. It's a million times better than this panoramic sunroof nonsense. And this is something that Hyundai, they are the forefront of bringing things that you see in unobtainable cars and bringing it into the mass market. They should try something like this.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and it won't cost that much now with LED lights and everything. It's not going to cost that
Your
much.
i20 with starlight roof.
Yeah. Maybe the electric Creta with a starlight roof.
Yeah.
I think it's damn cool.
Mad.
Yeah, so that could probably be the next frontier of what is going to filter down from expensive cars.
And hand-painted wood.
Maybe that's a bit too much.
Yeah.
That will probably get at Karolbagh. But from a mass manufacturer, getting that is a bit much.
Yeah.
And then we drove the Series 2 Ghost because that's what we were there to drive.
Yeah. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, no embargo.
Oh, no embargo. Too good.
So they say that now luxury is not money. Luxury is time.
Yeah.
And they're like, you put up the story when you would like.
Oh, nice.
You come and drive. You
Do
drive
what you
as much as you want.
Yeah.
After lunch, so at lunch, they said, if you are not driving, if you don't want to drive, there's this whole selection of wines. Please have fun, enjoy. We have drivers to take, not drivers, chauffeurs to take you back. Obviously, we being bookers for driving, we say, no, we're not drinking and all that. We are driving. And straight out of that, we got stuck in a 2.5 hour long traffic jam.
Yeah.
Okay, worse cars to be stuck in a traffic jam than a
Correct,
Rolls-Royce, but I was stuck in a traffic jam with Gavin from Autocar sitting behind me,
Yeah.
guiding me on Google Maps, said, okay, take a left from here, get off the motorway here, and then we jump back on the motor.
But to be fair, they don't just give you a driving experience, they give you the Rolls-Royce experience.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the thing. So what they said is that they keep looking for places to do events.
Yeah.
They don't have to hunt because they just call their customers, and ask them that, where have you been to an interesting place recently?
Yeah.
And say, yeah, we've been to the chateau in Provence.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We go and do the drive there.
Nuts.
So the Michelin-starred meals and a really nice place to stay. And you live the Rolls-Royce life. Even my video, it starts with, so when I was growing up, there was this Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous on cable television that had just come in. My grandma used to watch it. And this is like a scene out of the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Provence, go to a vineyard, driving down the Côte d'Azur, these
Beautiful.
mountain roads with the ocean below you, clear blue skies, no pollution anywhere in this Rolls-Royce. They say, no, Rolls-Royce, best cars in the world. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It really is.
You heard it here,
spectacular.
not first, but again.
It's spectacular. And that Ghost moves because now we are junglis, right?
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to drive a Rolls full flat.
Correct.
Yeah, but no, we still did full launch control, run what it feels like. So when you launch it, the way the nose lifts, it's like a boat.
Yeah.
It's
Like a motorboat.
But it still has a V12.
Yeah.
For
In this day and
all
age.
the talk about Ferrari saving V12s, Rolls-Royce has V12s in 3 out of the 4 model lines. The Cullinan, the Phantom, the Ghost all have twin turbo V12s. 6 3/4 liters. Not 6.75, 6 3/4.
Yes. Properly British.
So big engines.
Yes.
And when you put your foot down in the Cullinan, in the Ghost, oh man, you can hear that V12. Not in a Ferrari sense. It's muted, but that growl is definitely there. Like, brrr. And you feel that torque, that surge of torque. It's never unrefined. There's no sport mode. Nothing as vulgar or cheesy as sport mode in a Rolls Royce. But the gear lever, it has L. That's low. Now, it's not low range like in a Thar.
But keep you in a low gear.
But in L, that's when you start off in first gear. Otherwise, when you drive off in a Rolls, it always takes off in second gear. Because you don't want Mr. Ambani or Mr. Adani sitting at the back to get that knock in their head when you step on it by mistake. So it always starts off in second. But if you want to drive in a slightly sporty fashion, put it into L. In the black badge, it makes a little bit more noise.
Okay.
The gear shifts are slightly quicker, and you get that surge. You can feel all that power. You have that power reserve gauge.
Yeah.
Nothing as vulgar as a tachometer.
Who needs a tachometer?
The tachometer is for the great unwashed. You have a power reserve gauge. So you see how much power you're using. Most of the time you have 100% in reserve because you're just tickling the throttle. There's so much power on tap. There's so much of torque on tap. And the driving experience, even the Ghost, which is supposed to be the entry level Rolls Royce.
If there can be such a thing.
Yeah, but this is the entry. This is the Rolls Royce LXI.
Yeah.
Base model Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Come on, there's no such thing as a base model.
Yeah.
It feels so. We were driving the regular wheelbase, not even the extended wheelbase. And I don't see why you would want the extended wheelbase because I sat at the back and it's got plenty of space. More than a 7 Series.
Yeah.
And it's no longer the case that the Ghost and the 7 Series have the same platform.
Yeah.
In fact, the Ghost chief engineer then went on to engineer the i7 7 Series. So the 7 Series has a lot of learnings from the Rolls-Royce.
Very apparent ones.
Yeah, but the Rolls-Royce has this architecture of luxury. No platform business. Architecture of luxury.
Yeah.
The floor pan, the firewall, got the sandwich, and in the sandwich they have sound deadening foam. Rolls-Royce were the first to put sound deadening foam in the tires to isolate the road. And you really are isolated from everything. You're just in your own world, even in traffic, and you're sitting at the back. You don't give a fuck about the world. It's like, you've made it in life. You're in a Rolls-Royce. Now to hell with everything else. It puts you on another level altogether. And thank God for me that I drove down from Pune to Bombay and I parked the i7 long-termer that we have. I parked that at the airport. So came back and the i7, it was okay. It's not, you don't feel like shit about your life choices.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you were like taking an Uber back from the airport, you'll be like, no, what the fuck am I doing with life? Because those Rolls Royces just put you on another, it's indescribable.
Yeah. They pamper you to another level.
And those cars, ultimately for us, it's all about the cars.
Yeah.
To me, colors haven't really mattered. A lot of our peers go on about, this blue, this chrome, this DRL, and who gives a nobody cares about all of that. You care about the way it drives. But with these cars, I spent time looking at the spec of each of the cars. One was a lurid green with green inserts on the side, which looked fantastic. There was another purple. We drove the Miami red Ghost, and it looked unbelievable. And with that red inserts on the inside. So on the dash, they now have a clock tower. So they have the clock and they have the Spirit of Ecstasy underneath that, which is all lit from below. They have this image, a digital image of a celestial time-lapse photograph.
On where?
On the passenger side.
Huh.
And nothing as vulgar as a screen where the passengers watch YouTube videos. Not in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
In fact, they have screens at the back. But those screens actually feel quite unbecoming of a Rolls Royce. Even the fonts and the graphics. And a Rolls Royce, okay, it's got the new BMW operating system on it, on the iDrive. But it still has all the hard buttons. Which can be pre-programmed, including the last one, which was pre-programmed to have the Spirit of Ecstasy rise from the hidden position in the Parthenon grill.
Yeah.
And I think the black badge, it looks mega, man.
Yeah, no?
With all the black chrome instead of any other shiny chrome. In fact, this is the first time that the handles, the door handles, which are these huge things, it's like refrigerator handles, but obviously in solid metal. Even that is in black chrome and it's got this gangster wheels on it.
Nuts. Okay,
if there's anything that makes you want to work harder to aspire to something,
it's a Rolls Royce.
It's a Rolls Royce, yeah. We love big engines, V12s, V8s, Lenny, sorry, no 4 cylinders, but we like big engines, right? And it sounds crazy saying this, but a Rolls-Royce sat in the fast lane doing 130 clicks. You have it in low, that V12, that burble of that raw power that is right up there, that huge long hood, that spirit of ecstasy right there. It's always there in your field of vision. It's indescribable. It makes you feel like money. If there's ever a car that it inspires you to work really hard to achieve something, the Rolls-Royce it does. Thrill of driving and everything, but the thrill of being in a Rolls, thrill of driving a Rolls also, it's a real thing. I can tell you, and I'm a hardcore petrol head, and I can tell you that I haven't felt like that in a long while.
So viewers, for the 300,000th time this episode, tough life, Sirish.
Somebody has to do it.
Yeah, somebody does. Okay, let's come back to reality. Okay, little bit on the stuff that you and I can afford. Mahindra's SUVs are on their way.
Yeah, finally. So next week is when Mahindra takes the wrap off their 2 electric SUVs.
Yeah.
Now, there's been drip feed of info all over our social media. It's full of it.
Every day they send out one teaser.
Yeah, there's something or the other. What I know for a fact is that Mahindra have put everything into this.
Okay.
This is...
You're talking in terms of money and investment?
Money, manpower, time, effort, everything.
Yeah.
They put everything into this. This has to work for them. Because if this doesn't work for them, they are in for a tough time. And
isn't that a gamble with where electrics are going?
That's what. And they're launching at a time when there's so much of resistance to electrics. It's I wouldn't want to be in their place.
Yeah.
Not in terms of their engineer's place, but in terms of how do you turn market sentiment?
But you know what? From what we've seen of these cars, okay, they got complicated, not complicated, but confusing names. It's the XEV E9.
No, XEV 9E.
See, already I fucked it up. XEV 9E and the BE6E.
So it's supposed to be pronounced as B6E.
Like be sexy?
Yeah, like this indigo thing. A little cheesy, right?
Yeah.
Like how they have that zip zap zoom modes also. So it's not supposed to be pronounced as BE6E. It is B6E.
Be sexy.
And why do they need 2 brands? I'm curious to find out.
I'm sure they'll have some reasoning for
Yeah.
it. I think maybe over time this XEV will phase out and then it'll only be BE.
No, but the fact is that both of these are on a Born Electric architecture.
Yeah, true.
Which they're not using Born Electric anymore. I don't know why.
But BE is Born Electric.
Yeah, but they're not saying Born Electric anyway.
B.
Yeah. So it's not like it's a coupe XUV 700.
But it's supposed to be that, right?
No, that's what. So it's sitting on a new architecture. So the platform is a electric architecture, a skateboard platform.
Yeah.
So
and they look great. We've seen the pictures, the teasers.
Now, obviously with an asterisk.
There's always be an asterisk with styling.
Yeah.
But I think
it's very bold, very different,
futuristic.
very futuristic.
And
right?
in fact, it feels like finally Mahindra is getting into global design, and it's not just their original blinker
and global ambition.
Yeah.
In their press release, they're saying that best in the world. They want to tackle not anything in India. It's not a Nexon rival. Obviously, this will be more like a Sierra rival. When
it'll be more expensive.
More expensive. But they are talking about an Ioniq 5 at XUV 700 plus couple of lakhs more money. So, say at 20 lakh rupees, you're getting everything that the Ioniq 5 or the Kia EV6 has.
Yeah.
So the battery capacity is also so we have a little bit information right now. There are 2 powertrain options between 228 to 282 bhp.
That's a lot of power.
Which makes this the most powerful cars ever made in India.
Is it? Made in India? Like what do you qualify as make in India?
Oh, made in India is like Mahindra Electrics are all made in India, right? They're not imported.
But so is a S-Class Maybach made in
assembled.
India. Yeah. So that's what is the definition of made in India is what I'm asking.
Well, so built in India is very different from made in India. Now, not assembled, but actually manufactured in India from scratch. I think so these will probably be the most powerful vehicles ever to be made in India. battery capacity is 59 kilowatt hour and 79 kilowatt hour.
Qualify that. Most powerful passenger cars to be made in India, because vehicles includes trucks, buses, all that mad stuff. So
Okay, if you want to go there, yeah, okay. Most powerful passenger vehicles in the country. It can do 175 kilowatt hour DC fast charging. They claim 20 to 80% in 20 minutes flat.
yeah.
So
If you find a charger
if
fast
you
enough.
find that fast charger, wheels likely all the way up to 20 inches.
What will happen to ride quality?
Hmm.
But Mahindra's always
But Mahindra have
been-
always done good ride
Yeah.
and good handling.
Exactly.
So
Maybe they
probably-
figured it out.
Also because this is an electric architecture,
Hmm.
so you have the ability to do all of this.
Yeah, but then there's also a lot of weight which needs to be controlled, which means
Yeah.
stiffer suspension,
Yeah.
which
But
means...
Velu has always done it well,
Yeah, he's a genius.
right?
So,
So he
yeah.
must have pushed his engineers to get it done.
and
no
we can't
matter
say
what.
till we drive it, which we will
Of
be very
course.
soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are going to be driving it. So,
Yeah.
and they say this is going to redefine electric luxury.
It's exciting, you know. I think Tata has pushed a lot of boundaries in the EV space, but I think what Mahindra is doing here is taking it a level up. You know, we were
Yep.
really excited for Curve, considering it was going to be like new platform, Gen 2 EV, whatever. But I don't think it met our expectations to
Yep.
some level.
Yeah.
You know, it was more a Nexon.
Because there was no hiding the fact that this is a long wheelbase Nexon.
Yeah, it was built up on the Nexon. But this
and also
feels-
all the information that was given to us that this is a new platform, it set wrong expectations.
correct. So I think because of the expectations itself, we were set up for disappointment. You know. But here, from the looks of it, from the teasers, it looks promising.
Yeah.
Again, we have to wait, see the cars
Obviously.
in the flesh. And
So
then,
Mahindra have been late to the electric party,
yeah.
even though they were one of the first movers when they acquired Reva.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they missed the ball over there and Tata really ran with it.
Yeah.
But now, and also yesterday I was seeing some numbers, Tata sells 10 times as many electric cars as Mahindra does.
Wow.
So Mahindra have a long way to go to catch up.
Yeah. But the thing about these cars, I don't think sales will be the right metric to do this.
There's
because
no other way.
No,
You know,
because see, Mahindras will be sitting in a higher segment. Like Tata today has a Tiago EV, they have a Nexon EV, which sits at a price where more people can afford them.
I don't think they are a Rolls Royce. Okay, Rolls Royce, you don't look at outright sales numbers.
Yeah.
End of the day, you still have to.
But the market is
sell.
still a pyramid, you know. As the
Yeah.
higher up you go in price, the less people can afford it. It's
True,
simple
but
maths.
there still is no point making Be Sexy and right, and not doing half decent numbers. How much does the XEV 700 do?
I have no idea. How
They've been
much?
doing 10,000 cars a month.
Wow. Okay.
Diwali was like a dhamakedar Diwali for the XEV 700. They did nearly 10,000 cars.
And
So-
this is a car that's now 3 years into its
Yep.
life cycle.
Yes,
you
yeah,
know? It's not even
So-
a new car.
correct. So numbers have to be there.
Yeah.
You be there. Yeah.
B is just going to become a... Watch out for all the headlines from all the magazines. There's going to be some B pun in there.
So
Thing.
they have to do they have to do numbers. There's
Yeah.
no way around it. Also, they have to do EVs because their cafe emission norms have to be met.
Yeah.
They can't possibly paying fines for not meeting cafe norms. For that, you have to sell some numbers. Now, there is no stipulation of small car, big car, all of that.
Yeah.
You know, so volumes have to be there. And this is just a start.
Hmm.
Yeah. So from here, you will have more powerful versions. You'll have
Less.
smaller versions. You'll have all kinds.
You'll have all-wheel drive, you'll have rear-wheel
Yeah,
drive,
yeah.
you'll have everything.
When Mahindra showed that rally concept at the Formula E
Yeah.
in Hyderabad, was that last year before last?
Yeah.
Whenever. That they said then that this is not just a concept. This will go into production.
Yeah.
So maybe next year we'll
Fingers
have
crossed.
a rally.
Yeah.
So
B rally.
the B rally.
Yeah.
So we will be right back next week. But before we
still have one more thing to talk about.
Yep,
Quickly.
more electrics.
More electrics. And it's very exciting. I think Honda has been teasing their Activa. Can we call it that? Can we call it the
Okay,
electric
for now
Activa?
let's just call it the electric Activa.
Yeah. The electric Activa. They've been
Acti-E.
the B Activa.
B Activa. Acti-E they can't use because that is Tata uses something, no?
Acti EV.
Active
EV. Yeah, whatever. But essentially, the electric scooter, which for all intents and purposes, is going to be an electric Activa.
Yep.
And the last teaser was very interesting.
Mm.
It teased swappable batteries.
Yep.
Not everybody is doing swappable batteries. A lot of the leading sales in this space, Ola, Ather, TVS,
Yep.
Bajaj,
Yeah.
all don't have swappable.
Only Hero has.
Hero has.
Yep.
So the
Ultraviolet, if you remember, their very first prototypes had swappable batteries.
Yeah, they did.
No longer.
Mm-hmm.
So Honda has probably taken their time. Now, when Honda comes into something, you know that they've thought about reliability 5 million times.
Yeah.
With a Honda, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how they engineer the products. They take their time, but they engineer products that nothing will fail.
Yeah.
So they've obviously perfected this whole swappable battery system and infrastructure.
And we've seen these swappable battery walls. So they're going to have these, basically a wall with bricks of batteries in them. So like a grid. And you can just take your phone, say, I've got this battery, I want to swap it. You put your old battery in, they give you a new battery, you put it into your bike and you're ready to go. They showed this at the Bharat Mobility Show last year, or this year. It was earlier this year. Yeah.
This year. And that will be shared across Honda group companies. They're also going to license that out.
Yeah.
So you might have other manufacturers also using the Honda batteries.
So
it's one of their subsidiary companies that's going to be running that.
So what you mean by that is it's not going to be just bikes. It's going to be in generators. It's going to be in, mobile power stations. It's going to be in all sorts of use cases. Yeah. So the same battery pack effectively
can be used across industries. Yep.
And that will probably give them the scale needed to be able to make this viable in term. Because, you can't just have batteries for EV bikes. If it's in power grids, if it's in all sorts of places, it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, see, we haven't seen the bike. Now, we don't know what it is going to do, what range, what's the price at, everything. My question, before we end this podcast, one last question. If Honda has an electric scooter, who is going to buy an Ola electric?
I have no idea.
Nothing against Ola. I don't own shares in Ola, but nothing against Ola.
Yeah.
Okay. And commendable what they've done for the whole electric infrastructure, business, all of that. But if Honda has an electric scooter.
And the Activa is the scooter in India.
Yeah, it is the Activa class.
Yeah.
Activa brought back interest in these non-geared scooters.
Yeah.
So if you have an electric Activa, it's going to be a tough time for the other players.
You know what I feel? I don't know, but I have an inkling of feeling that because this is a swappable battery, they may be able to price this really aggressively.
And use something like what MG has done with their battery as a service model.
So you give a really a really good pricing because you don't have to sell it with a battery. And then you put the battery price on top. Rent it or add it as a add-on on top.
Yeah. Or you just pay as you use. So you pay for how many ever kilometers you use.
So Honda's got something up their sleeve right now. We don't know exactly what.
And not for nothing, they've been working for so long on an electric scooter.
And this has it is possibly that inflection point. Where things switch. Who after this would need to buy an ICE scooter?
Even now, I don't see why would anybody buy an ICE scooter. You're not going to use a scooter to go from Pune to Bombay, right?
Look, there could still be doubts. But when a Honda comes in, where is the room for doubt? There's no room for doubt. Honda's got you. And that will be what will, I feel, flick that switch and shift the weight onto the side of EVs for good. And it'll be good for us as well because, all those scooters driving around the city, so much emission from those tiny engines because there's a high volume of them, small engines but high volume, all going electric. It can't be bad, So
super.
Yeah.
So on that note, and hopefully Mahindra's embargo will lift by next Sunday.
Will it? That quickly?
I don't know, but if it does, then next week is going to be on our driving impressions of the B60.
And a Porsche 930.
And a Porsche 930. And of course, much more.
Yes.
So we'll have the podcast again next week. Until then, hope you've enjoyed listening to the podcast. I think this podcast has stretched on for really long.
We apologize.
Let us know if we should be doing shorter podcasts or let it be as long as it is. We obviously would like to know your feedback. It always helps us get better. And thank you, viewers, listeners, for watching and listening to the Evo India podcast.
See you next time.